Young people, it's your fault you can't afford to buy a house because of your hipster avocado-loving lifestyle. Let me start by saying I really like Bernard Salt. I think he's really on the ball, except not at all when it comes to these massive intergenerational issues going on in Australia. In his column over the weekend, he made a lot of points about young people in the housing market, and one of them, which is going completely nuts on social media, is that if they didn't buy so many $22 breakfasts, they might be able to afford a house. Now, I'm simplifying, and there's so much wrong with this, I just don't know where to start, but here we go anyway. It's not that young people can't be bothered saving for a house or that they're not saving, it's that they've given up, and here's why. Wages growth in Australia has been flat for years, and that's okay because inflation has been very low for years as well. That means that things in relation to the amount of money we have haven't really gone up that much in value. But then over here, we have houses in Sydney and Melbourne. Let's talk about them. Before you tell me to move to the outer suburbs, which is something that I get told a lot, have a listen to the house price growth numbers. Now remember that these are the entire large cities, not just the latte-sipping, avocado-loving inner suburbs. Houses in Sydney and Melbourne have been going up in value by between 10 and 15%. In the 12 months to mid last year, Sydney house prices were up almost 19%. We're talking 64% in 4 years. What that means is that if first home buyers save 15% of their income, all they're really trying to do is keep up with the price inflation. If they save 30% of the average Australian income, which is $75,000, that's $21,000. If they're really good. Now cut that in half because of that price inflation and you're left with a little over $10,000 to save for a deposit of around $150,000 or more. See what I'm saying? Experts all over the world, by the way, are saying that Sydney and Melbourne house prices are overextended and due for a correction. So where does that leave young Australians? It leaves them nowhere. They are saving, but the thing that they want is completely out of reach. Older Australians who own maybe 1, 2, 3 houses each, they've been telling younger Australians to get out into the outer suburbs, the really outer suburbs, or the regional hubs, because that's where houses are cheap. The thing is, 30 years ago, the places where houses were cheap were still pretty easy to get to the city from, and younger Australians still need to be at work at 8 or 8:30. So the public transport and infrastructure really needs to step up its game if we're going to make that work. So younger Australians are living at home with their parents longer, living in share houses longer, and so when it comes to something like a $22 avocado breakfast, that's a pleasure that we can afford. Even if we did pocket that, do you really think it's going to get us closer to the massive, massive deposit? I don't think so.